Linda Bott.
Former mayor of the city of Rancho Cordova and now a city council member. Linda has been an advocate for cycling, transit, pedestrian use since before Rancho Cordova was a city. And once they incorporated, she just kind of re-energized her commitment towards active transportation. So I'm going to call Linda up to talk a little bit about Rancho Cordova and then just to introduce our last speaker, Linda.
Thank you, Rebecca. I am not going to apologize, but I should tell you the only reason that I'm not here today is because of family commitments and because I would have loved to be here to hear everything you have to say. But we have city staff here, and I'm thrilled to have Travis and Mark here, and it's a great pleasure to say hello to a fellow Texican. And also to, he was right there. I lost Carl Hagan. Oh, well, I know Carrie Howe left a little bit earlier, but Cindy's absolutely right. You know, it's one thing. We all rely on our staff people, on the people who are engaged in a very specific activity to bring to us the state of the art, to bring to us the best and the brightest ideas. And you know, we're all dreadful plagiarists. We go to Washington, D.C. for Cap to Cap. We take the study missions with the Metro Chamber, and we try to bring all of those good ideas back to use here in the region. And then, yes, if there's something that the city of Folsom is doing or the city of Davis is doing that we need to be thinking about adding to Rancho Cordova, we're for sure going to do that. So, thanks to our staff, we now have a perfectly beautiful bike map. Has anybody seen our bike map? Yep. Oh my, look at that. Mark and Travis have been busy. We're so thrilled. The only best map, the only best map I've ever seen, better map that I've ever seen, is in Brentwood of all places. And Brentwood has a perfectly gorgeous bicycle trail system. It even goes through and over one of the golf cart bridges in one of their golf courses. Brentwood is very much involved in bicycling. But it's my pleasure to just be here today. Rancho Cordova, when we incorporated, as Rebecca said, we knew that we did not want to simply be oceans of housing, which had previously been approved, without people's ability to live, to work, to shop, and to recreate within their communities. And of course, for those of you from this region, SACOG's blueprint hit us right at the absolutely best time because we were doing our first general plan. State of California gives you like 30 months to complete a general plan, and so we use those blueprint principles. But we were also developing a complete transportation system. It is very important that as policymakers, we not focus necessarily on one form of transportation or another, that our holistic system needs to make it possible to move people, goods, services, both with the route they want to take and by whatever mode they want to use. So bicycles have as much validity on the roadway as big lorries and giant trucks do. And so it's really important that we not forget that. And whoever's here from Walk Sacramento and the people also. So what we've tried to do is we've approved those specific plans or gone back and had to reapprove plans, is to ensure that we have a trail system that connects people. So you can get to elementary school. You will be able to get to the new junior and senior high schools that are built east of Sunrise, on bicycle trails, on walking paths. Our parks, going into the new areas, are connected with walking paths. In old Rancho Cordova, in Riverside Rancho Cordova, it's like that already because we have co-located parks and schools. Folsom Cordova doesn't build huge magnet schools. They build small personal neighborhood schools. And those schools are all located next door to a park. And you can get there with sidewalks, you can get there with trails, you can get there by a variety of means. And we appreciate that, and we wanted to continue that to everything that we were going to build that was new in Rancho Cordova. So this bike map is really the culmination of a lot of hard work and dedication by our own staff to make sure that they implement the wishes not only of the people like Steve who live in Rancho Cordova, but also the policy direction of the elected officials. So I'm going to introduce now your next speaker, who is a great person whose background and interests and talents we need to take more advantage of here in this area. From a technical standpoint, he actually is a graduate of Colorado State University in Fort Collins. They make beer in Fort Collins. Now, we all think that Boulder is probably the best place to go for a party in Colorado, but if you do, it's because you haven't been to Fort Collins. And so, one of the things, he's worked at the New Belgium Brewing Company, which we toured. If Carrie were here, she would tell you we toured this a couple of years ago on a study mission that went to Boulder and to Fort Collins. But he, with his background in interpretive tourism, he thought up the idea, along with probably a college friend, and implemented the brewery's bicycle signature event called the Tour de Fat. And what's really important about that is that New Belgium is the producers of Fat Tire beer, for those of you who don't know that already. And so it was only logical that they would call it Tour de Fat, because what else were they going to call it? But he's working in Davis now, and we need him to expand his sphere of influence within the region. And let's all welcome Dave Kemp, whom you may know as BK.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. It's great to be here. Yes, I can't escape the bikes and beer thing at all whatsoever. And I don't want to, really. New Belgium is a great company, and they're a fantastic partner for a lot of these bicycle advocacy groups. I actually got my start in working in a bike shop. As a bike salesman. So when I graduated from CSU, New Belgium picked me up about 6 months later and said, hey, we want to take a show on the road all about bikes and beer. And I thought, oh my God, yes. Thank you. What? Is it my mom praying for me? She's devout Catholic. Something happened there. So I did that for 4 years, and we got this event, this special event, off the ground, and I got to explore so many cities throughout the western United States, and I began to learn more about bicycle advocacy. I was working in a bike shop before that, so I was just moving units, as we say in the bike shop term. And but I never really knew about bike advocacy, because when I was there in Fort Collins in '96, '97, selling bikes, there was a mountain bike advocacy group, but there wasn't like an urban advocacy group. Not yet, anyway. So this job really got me out on the road, and I really learned about what all these fabulous communities were doing to support bicycling. And it was right in line with the mission, the genuine mission of the brewery at that time, to promote this bicycle way of life. And to stop and smell the flowers, to slow things down a little bit, and break out that classic cruiser bike and get everyone together and come meet us in the park, and let's go for a big bike ride throughout your community. Get permits, of course. This is not a critical mass type event. And then come back and then have some interactive games, and of course, let's let the bike advocacy organization sell all the beer and make tons of money. And that's exactly what happened, and that's how the Tour de Fat took off. And to date, they've raised millions of dollars for bicycle advocacy organizations. So that's my start. But before I get into the next piece of that, I just want to say, I rode my bike up here from Davis yesterday, and it's 45 miles. It was a good ride, and I couldn't believe how perfectly connected this little town of Folsom is. to the bike trail. I mean, talk about bicycle tourism destination. So you guys are doing it. Who's ever in charge of that and promoting it? I hope continue. Now, one of the Bicycle Plus, tons of bikes for rent out there, and just you're marrying bicycling in with your community design, and that's really key. And bicycle tourism is something that you really gotta embrace. And as that begins to develop economically, so will it also influence your policymakers to begin making the investment to start building out your bicycle infrastructure. It's one of the ways. And I just want to say, Charlie, we've had the high wheeler, okay, for a long time. This is not exactly our city's logo here. This is a variation that I've recently created here, but yeah, I see what you're doing, and I love it. I love that communities are saying, I'm going to be the best. We're going to be the best, because what I'm going to talk about today is about vision and leadership. And I also want to say, this magazine right here, this 50 Corridor magazine, I'm greatly impressed with the quality of this publication. We've done a lot of these things. Here, go ahead, give it. Yeah, I mean, this is a great start. I mean, talking about leadership in your communities. Well, raise your hand for me. Just tell me who's an advocate, a bike advocate. Okay. Okay, I'm going to say about 50%. Who's city staffer? Good, good. Okay, about 10, 15%. And then how about an elected official? Okay, we got one elected official? Okay. All right. And just one? Okay. There's another one back there. That's right, Linda. Excuse me. And then what if you're working for a bicycle and pedestrian consultant company? If you're a consultant. Great. Excellent. Okay. Just helps me understand the framework here. So.
PK?
Yeah.
I want to ask for county staffers.
Oh. Okay, well, city county staffers. You raise your hands anyway. Okay, good. So we're covered. Yes. Okay, so real quick, I gotta tell you how I got into all this. This is going to kind of lead to this vision thing, right? We're going to talk about that Bicycle World's Fair a little bit. So at the end of 4 years, I was growing out of this fabulous job, believe it or not, of going around the West and putting on these bikes and beer festivals. I was like, okay, traveling 6 months out of the year. It's time to get rooted. You know, I need to grow. And so I left the brewery, and it was like, what? Quit in Belgium? Are you insane? You know, and maybe I am a little, but I was ready to grow. You know, so I quit, and that summer after I had left, I took a bike tour through Europe, and you know, I had panniers. And I was camping and biking and drinking good beers and riding lots of miles. And I saw the quality of life that a lot of these communities were experiencing, riding the Bachfiets around up there in Amsterdam, you know, and looking at cities like Freiburg, Copenhagen, and so many of these cities. These people are happy, so happy. And so I thought, vision. I want to take that lifestyle, that quality of life, and I want to go and I want to work in a city and help that city experience that same happiness. And that's when I got into local government. When I got back from that trip, I was actually working for a nonprofit called FlagstaffBiking.org, and it was in Flagstaff, Arizona, where I was living for a time. But then my friends at the brewery sent me up a job notice saying that Fort Collins was hiring a bicycle coordinator. And I jumped on it and ended up getting the job. And so I went back, and so from 2005-ish through 2012, I was the bike coordinator there. And this is where we're going to begin to transition into the bicycle-friendly community program and the application. When I got there, they were a silver level bike-friendly community. The community was very disorganized. There was no, you know, this event promoter wasn't talking to that one. The energy was there. Fort Collins for a time had built out this infrastructure of bicycling, mostly bike paths and bike lanes, but there was nothing really there saying go out and use it. I think at the time there were 4%, 3% around there. American Community Survey, bike mode share. And so we began to connect the dots in that community. We're a silver level bicycle-friendly community at this time. And so we start putting all this together. We recognize all those 5 E's, and of course, we added some extra ones like community and economy and environment. So we kind of broadened the expectation or the ecosystem of bicycling, as I like to refer to it. Because if you pull one of those E's out, then the whole thing can fall apart. And they all have to be there together in a comprehensive manner to really work. So after we started getting, folks familiar with each other and organizing, meetings to talk about shared goals and whatnot, we got into the planning piece of this, and we wrote a new bike plan, and we came up with, clear objectives that we wanted to accomplish. In 2008, after implementing this bike plan for just about 2.5 years, we went for that second, bicycle-friendly community designation, and we got a silver again. I was really mad, actually. I called Bill Nesper. I'm like, Bill, come on, really? I mean, we've been working on this thing. This is a very subjective, analysis that you're doing for our community. He said, DK, hang on, you're on the cusp of goal. You just got to do a few more things. And I said, okay, all right. So, I moved on and explained to our community that, hey, we're almost there. We can still do this. We just got to, we've got to work on some of our projects and programs. And so we continue to beef it up. And then the following year, we went forward again. We didn't wait 4 more years. No way. We said, let's get this. And so, the city's right. We're banking on this. It's the DNA. We've factored this quality of life into our society and our branding. And so, we got the gold. Woohoo! Had a city council, meeting where Andy Clark from the League of American Bicyclists came out and presented the award. We gave bicycle badges that were gold to all the elected officials, and boom, we were on our way at that point. We're on our way to platinum because that was the next challenge. So what I'm saying here is that this is a series of challenges to this bicycle-friendly community program, and you can't give up. If you start off and you only get an honorable mention, well, at least you're on the radar. And then if you get that bronze, pretty good. It means you've made, bronze. Well, here, let me say this. Honorable mention is saying, well, we have some bike parking at the city hall. Does that count? Yes, but you've got a lot of work to do. Okay. Bronze is, well, we've got some bike lanes going in, on streets that didn't have bike lanes before. We've got an advocacy organization that's really working with our elected officials. We have staff now, brand new, it's just come in, These are some of the things that equate to these different levels of bicycle-friendly community designation. And then you get up to silver, and now you've really begun to build out your network, and you've got programs, education, and encouragement. And now you're taking it to the next level, and you're really expanding out your bike parking, you're expanding your bike lanes. You might be even beginning to experiment with, to use green markings and some of your conflict zones. And so your engineering and your enforcement programs are developing. You're training your police officers how to enforce the laws for motorists and bicyclists. Again, it's the comprehensive approach to elevating every time you go for this. And the league's great because the league comes back with a lot of feedback. And they say, hey, here's what you need to do next. And here's your strengths too. So you celebrate those strengths, and then you rally your community around those challenges that you need to do next. So then you get to gold. Okay, now you probably have a bike share developing at this point. and you're probably putting in some buffered bike lanes. I gotta keep up with the times because they weren't using that back in 2008 so much. But you're elevating each of these different components, and there's no magic right now between honorable mention to gold. There is no specific objective that the league says that you have to have. So you could be really strong in one area like programs and education and encouragement and enforcement. You might be a little weak in the engineering side. So they do a qualitative analysis and they determine whereabouts you might be. Now by the time you get to that platinum level, which was our next goal, and we did accomplish, then you're talking about specific objectives. And from the platinum to the diamond, you guys know there's a diamond level bike-friendly community program out there right now? See, what happened is that Portland, Davis, Boulder, Fort Collins, well, Fort Collins just kind of came into the whole deal, they were lucky. We said, you know, there's nothing here right now to really motivate our community. We plateaued, we ceilinged out. How do we, you know, we need, league, help us. We want to push the goalpost back and challenge again our community to take it to the next level. And they said, okay, all right, we'll call it super platinum. No, we'll call it carbon. Come on. I'm like, why don't you just call it unobtainium? And they came out with diamond, and we thought, all right, we'll take it. Diamond, we can make that work. Besides, diamond, cyclist's best friend, right? Okay. So, you gotta know that a lot of marketing has to go into a lot of this. I mean, image with this stuff is everything. You can't just go out and build something and expect people to ride it. You gotta dazzle it. You gotta spruce it up and get people behind it, and you have some imagery, you know, that accompanies these developments. You gotta sell it. You gotta use 21st century marketing and branding if you're gonna have an effect of changing behavior, because that's ultimately the most difficult thing that we're up against. The hardest thing you can possibly manage is to change behavior. And it can be frustrating, but at the same time, you can also see changes. Because we ended up in Fort Collins taking the level of ridership from that 3.5% up to 10%. Big, you know, a lot of it was because bicycling was sexy. It was fun, and we sold that piece of it. And we also said, you know what, it is safe. And if you don't feel safe, here are some ways in which you can become more safe. So right now, City of Folsom is a silver. Is that right? Who's a representative from Folsom? Yes. Okay, so you're a silver. And when did you do your application?
We just redid it the year before.
So before were you an honorable mention?
Still so. No, we were still so.
Okay, so you can relate the story I'm telling you. Like, damn, what happened? You know, it's coming together. So how about the application? Did you find it arduous? Was it laborious? Was it time consuming?
Jim did that.
Keep going.
More adjectives to describe pain in the ass? Okay, listen, it's worth it. It's so worth it. And why it's worth it is because it is an incredible way to, it's a city audit when it comes to how bicycle friendly you are and what kind of facilities you have and programs. And that's why it's so valuable in that respect. It helps you really understand comprehensively what your community is all about for bicycling. Okay, give me another city. Has Rancho Cordova gone for that yet?
We have.
Wait, where?
We have, yes.
Yes, and where are you at?
Well, we got the honorable mention. Which
Hey!
pretty much felt like a no.
Listen, you know what? You take it to your city council and you said, look what we did. We got honorable mention. Well, how high can you get? Platinum, diamonds? So is that pretty, yeah, it's pretty far now. But, see, that's the start. You're in a good spot. Because now you have an inventory of what needs to happen, and you get your community, and I mean that three-legged stool that Jessica was talking about, and you bring them together, you rally around that feedback you got from the league, and you make it that community push. Like, let's go for, let's skip bronze. Let's get that silver. It doesn't have to be, within secession. You can go from an honorable mention to a silver or a gold, depending. That's a big jump. But was it hard for you, that application? Did it help you learn?
This gentleman right here did it, and yes, it was very hard. We had expected it to take an afternoon, and it took 2 weeks.
Afternoon. And it turns into 2 weeks, right?
Exactly.
Good. Okay.
So, but we had a very, you had mentioned that, our engineering was very good, but everything else was.
Right, the programmatic side and the enforcement piece. Okay. So City of Sacramento is now a silver. Okay, good. Hey, have you guys ever thought about, for those who represent cities or which respective city you live in, going after the bicycle-friendly business designation for your city? No? City of Fort Collins did it, and so did the City of Davis, and UC Davis did it too. This is another way, because you're trying to change a culture, right? Your city is the epicenter of this culture. And the bicycle-friendly community program speaks to the larger community in that it talks to the school district, and it's the city, and it's the advocacy group. It's all functions of city life. It's not just the city and what they do. But if you go for the bike-friendly business application for your city, well, then you're doing an inventory, you're doing an audit of the city organization itself, or the hospital itself. Is Kaiser Permanente a bike-friendly business?
It could be.
It's gonna be, sounds like it. Okay. And this really begins to help, again, shape, change the culture within the organizational body that is going out and doing these applications. What have you done for your employee lately with respect to supporting bicycling? That's really important. So that's another opportunity through the Bike Friendly America program that you can piggyback on and really push. Because you can only do once every 4 or 5 years the push to go after the Bike Friendly Community program. But with the Bike Friendly Business program, it's all the time. You got an ongoing program that you can incorporate these businesses. And from what I'm learning here is that the 50 corridor TMA, a little help from a grant from SACOG too, is going to provide that additional assistance if you need it. If staff time for your city or county entity, we'd love to do this for you, but we can't. We don't have the staff time. We are booked. We're, structural budget deficit down by $5.1 million. Forget it. But so you've got resources. Rebecca's team will go in and work with those businesses and probably the city to help them become a bicycle-friendly business. And that's going to have, I think, a paramount change into going after your larger aspiration of becoming this platinum or diamond level bicycle-friendly community. See the big picture, understand the ideals, but then also have your goals and set your goals forward. Then you have education, okay? Your bicycle-friendly community, and there's the League of American Bicyclists has a really good education program that's actually adapting a lot right now to how it's traditionally been from a very vehicular cyclist perspective, which is important, which is a very important thing. You want to keep that, but you also want to begin to embrace how to use these new types of facilities that are out there too. You see, what had been historically, or in the last 10 years, in terms of the school of bicycle safety, is that there's two opposite ends of the spectrum. One is either right or left, but one is based on vehicular cycling and taking the lane and being a confident cyclist and not desiring any sort of facilities like bike lanes or ordinances for cycling, to make it safer, or, it's all about we are traffic. And then the other side is that didn't button traffic. It's that 60% that Jessica was talking about earlier, those interested but concerned. I want facilities. I want that grade separated crossing over that major highway. I don't want to mix with traffic. I've got a 5-year-old and a bike. I'm not going to go out there in a skinny little bike lane and call that good. Forget it. I want facilities. So, but in reality, where we need to be is in the middle. Because it's going to take some time still to really build out all the facilities in your communities. And so you have to have the education to teach them what to do in a situation where there is no facility until you've created that perfect utopia of the next Dutch bike town here in Folsom. I can see it happening. So it's a combination. You got the bicycle-friendly community program, which is your overarching community-wide program. Then you have your bicycle-friendly business program, which is an ongoing that you want to continue to work towards and get more businesses. And then you have your education in developing your league cycling instructors within your community. Again, that's changing for the good. I'm going to get back to that. The league at this time identifies that there are changes in the way in which people are using bicycles, and they are adapting to the change towards facilities. So it'll be a combination like I just talked about, meeting in the middle. And then you also have, what's the last one? Bike Friendly University, BFU. Can you believe they named it that? Is Sacramento State, is that a bike friendly university? It could be.
It was bike antagonistic when I worked there, but it may be improving, I hope.
Good.
I don't know.
Okay, and then what about community colleges? Any community colleges within the area here? Okay.
College and its extension center.
So that's another one that could be a bike-friendly university. So what it is, it's the conglomeration of all these different programs that are to feed into this larger hierarchical bike-friendly community program. All these applications are worth it. Again, it's the audit, it's understanding what's in your community, and then it's also your rally point to take your communities to the next level. Okay, I think I'm pretty close to my time, aren't I?
World's Fair.
Bicycle World's Fair. I want 2 minutes. Can I have 2 minutes? So the vision that Charlie was talking about earlier. See, many of you in here are visionaries, and you're all, everybody stand up. Right now, so everybody stand up. Okay, look around. This whole group here, for this area, this is the leaders. See, I'm preaching to the choir today, but these are your people. Whether they're a consultant who has a resource to help your community out, or you're a bike advocate that can help with the local politics, or the city staff who can actually make change in the ground. So you all need to work together. You're all within the same, you're all here because you want to make a difference. Okay, everybody sit down. There's your little cheerleading piece. But so Charlie touched on this a little bit ago. So the thing for Davis, so I got this job in Davis. I came from Fort Collins. I'd be taken to the level I was ready to move on and help a new community. I could have went to a community that had not even been designated as a bike-friendly community. But Davis came about and I thought, wow, that's a different kind of challenge I hadn't thought about. I could go in this other small town and implement all the low-hanging fruit. But here, we're gonna have to make some new stuff, And part of that was when I got there, I'm like, what the hell am I going to do for this community? How are we going to make a platinum level community world class? And it was about the vision. So of course, where all the epiphanies take place, in the shower, right? That's mine anyway. That's where those come. We thought, let's work on this beyond platinum bicycle master plan, bicycle action plan, because this is all about getting it done. And then let's, work with the community to develop what it wants to see, so empower the public, and then let's put a horizon on where we're going to implement this thing And by chance, oh, it's the 50th anniversary of the nation's first bike lane in Davis in 2017. We began to put all that together. And so, of course, when I talked to Charlie, he's like, DK, Davis, let's go statewide. I'm like, yes! So we hope that in the future that you work with Charlie and I on this bigger vision for a California Bicycle World's Fair. Thank you very much for your time.